If you guys are into shooting the copper bullets, man, I got a great deal for you. We have partnered with Barnes Bullets. They are world famous, known for that Vortex rifle, the deadliest, most accurate hunting loads on the planet. I like this company, guys, because I have a personal connection to these guys. Down in central Utah, my dad's got this ranch, and on the way to the ranch, you drive past this Barnes Bullets factory, and it's a really cool building just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So I know them well. These all-copper bullets provide destructive power, double diameter expansion, maximum weight retention, and devastating energy transfer, all with excellent accuracy. It's a great choice for Western big game hunters and shooters everywhere. So check them out at barnesbullets.com and let me know what you guys think. I appreciate it. You've heard my Silencer Central ads, I'm sure, and I don't know if you have reached out and contacted them yet. If you're interested in a silencer, though, man, this is the way to go. Silencer Central from the start to finish, because it's quite the process. If you've never gotten a suppressor for one of your rifles, you've got to go through and do the ATF paperwork and the background checks and all that kind of stuff. But the cool part is Silencer Central takes care of it all. It's a several-month process, and so what's cool about it is if you don't want to drop all that money right at the top end of this whole process, you just get a hold of them, and you can do like a payment plan while they're taking care of all the paperwork on the back end. I have the Banish 30, and this thing is awesome. I've never used one of these before, so I'm like learning as I go along, but what I was getting at is from start to finish, Silencer Central has been some of the most amazing people I've ever worked with through the process. They treated me like I was family, and I really appreciated it. You guys should check them out, and you can call them at 866-891-4494 or check it out at silencercentral.com. It will be worth your time, I promise. There exists a threat, from anti-hunting groups to politicians trying to give our land away, and we won't stand for it. Those vast western landscapes provide the space for our wildlife to thrive and a place for hunters and anglers to fuel the fire that sparks their soul. In this show, we share our love of hunting, fishing, and conservation. Here, we provide the foundation to meet these threats through passion and the grit of the American outdoorsman. Welcome to the Western Huntsman Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Western Huntsman Podcast. This is Jim Huntsman, your host, coming at you from the Broken Time studio right here in Northwest Montana. And I have got my new pals from Vantage Point Archery, which you guys have heard me talk about a few times. And I wanted to bring these guys on to kind of tell the company story and learn some new broadhead knowledge, because as far as we were talking a couple weeks ago, I'm not the most technical bow hunter you've ever met. And so I'm trying to become more technical so that I become more lethal. And that's the goal here. And so I'd like to welcome Jeff Stringer and Ryan Corkwell. Did I say your names right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So Jeff's down there in Utah, actually not far from my dad's ranch, which is kind of cool. And Ryan is out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And well, you're just north out of Fort Wayne, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm south of Fort Wayne is where I
south.
live. But but we're in that area. Yep.
So I'd like to let's kick this off with, tell me a little bit about how did VP Archery, Vantage Point Archery, how did that come about? How are we here where we're at now, where you guys have sponsored the show and partnered with Eastman's and doing, I see you guys have had a lot of partnerships with folks like Joel Turner, who's been on the show a bunch, and some big names out there. And so give everybody a sense of how the company came to be, and we'll kind of go from there.
Jump on it, Ryan.
Yeah, sure will. So believe it or not, we've been making broadheads since 2008. We white label a ton of broadheads for other companies that are saying that they're a solid one-piece broadhead. fast forward to 2018, Jeff and I had another company, and we needed some parts being made at that company. And he went up to this little shop in Fort Wayne called Absolute Machining, and he was walking through there, and in this little hole in the corner of that shop, they were making these Vantage Point broadheads. And he came back to me and our other partner Rob and said, "Hey, I've got something for us we need to take a look at." And I'm all sold out in the fishing and hunting. And when I walked through, I was like, "Holy smokes, there's something here." Fast forward to now, it's just kind of like, it's kind of been a little bit of a snowball, right, Jeff? It's like, if there's something that can be made in America, we're all for it. And even if it's made overseas, we want to make it here too, because that's kind of what we pride ourselves on, is American made stuff and being made here right in local in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where any guy can walk into the shop and see 30 guys on the floor turning out broadheads, turning out uppers, turning out lower, turning out like comps, turning out like, we like what we do and we're really passionate about it.
So
that's the long and short order of it. But Jeff will kind of get into some more too. Yeah.
No, I actually love that. That part of my passion, especially when it comes to the hunting space, is the story behind a company and how it developed. And you guys doing this, making these broadheads here in America, is a big deal. It is a big, because it's one of those things like that. Manufacturing has become like this lost art in America, and people have lost jobs, and our economy struggles, and there's a lot of things that tie into and pride behind the fact that this is an American-made broadhead. And so anytime Eastman's comes to me and they're like, "Hey, we're talking to so-and-so about sponsoring the show and doing like a promotional partnership deal," or whatever we end up doing, my first question is always, where is it made? Is it an American-made product? Is it, that, because that's important to me, and we've lost a lot of that, and I don't want to take us down a rabbit trail with that. So that's how do you guys know each other?
So I actually lived in Utah, moved to Kentucky, and ended up in Bluffton, Indiana, just outside of Fort Wayne. And I was actually looking for a house when we first moved up there. We waited to build one, and I ran across Rob Troxel, Ryan's brother-in-law, our partner, and just hit it off. And then over the years, I ended up working for a company they own. That's where me and Ryan met, and just good Christian men, and trying to spread the word. And it's one thing to talk about made in the USA, which we're passionate about, but we're all so passionate about putting our communities to work and putting the youth to work. And you talk about, we've lost trades, but we're also shorting our kids on the idea that getting your hands dirty is bad. Really, it's not. I mean, I want these kids that I don't have to pay for their tuition. So don't go get a crazy degree and then come back here and expect me to pay for it. We'll send you through machinist school or welding school, or our partner has a truck rental company, a mechanic or whatever. So we're trying to get those jobs back in the United States by manufacturing it here, and then put Americans to work and do it on things that we love to do, like broadheads and compensators, gun barrels, all that kind of stuff. Plus it gives young entrepreneurs a place. Hey, I got this great idea, but I can't go put $20 million into a machine shop. I don't know where to package it or how to package it. We give them all those options that bring us your ideas. They're still your ideas. You patent them, you do whatever you want, but we'll give you that landing space to get those off and get them out of your head and into an actual product.
Yeah. That is such an interesting point that you made too. I've got a roofing company, and a lot of my customers are like facility managers at places for school districts and hospitals, and maintenance directors and things like that. And they're all older guys. And a lot of them tell me, I would have retired by now, but we've got nobody coming up to replace us. There's no skilled labor. And to be a facility director at, say a school district, these are guys that know a little bit about everything. They could turn a wrench. They know how, basically how roofs function and how HVAC systems work and how electrical works and things of that nature. And it's just like they're a dying breed, because we've had this emphasis on sending kids to college to get degrees in basket weaving that they come out and they wonder why they're not making $100,000. And it's like, man, instead of the debt that you're in and the 4 years you spent, smoking weed and drinking too much on a college campus and getting propagated by all sorts of craziness, you could have spent a couple of years as an apprentice with a plumber and you'd be making a heck of a lot more money without the debt. And I know there's a lot of people that are talking about that side of it, but it's worrisome because, doing what I do, owning a roofing company, it's very difficult to find labor. It's very difficult to find people that are willing to get up on a roof and do the work and sweat and get dirty and be, have them want to be there from the standpoint that this is like their long-term thing, because it's really good money. There's a lot of money in doing what I do. If people are willing to show up and work and not have like this, I don't know if they've, no pun intended, walked under a bunch of ladders, but these guys that tend to get a flat tire on their way to work 3 times a week, that's really unlucky. And I'm sick of finding people like that. It's like, where did we go wrong with this? And I'm not knocking people that have college degrees and are promoting sending their kids to college or anything, but at some point we have to recognize that this thing is kind of a scam. And anyway, I told you guys I'll take you down rabbit trails all day long.
That's a soapbox right there. I love it. I love it.
We could do a whole podcast on that.
I love the basket weaving. Jess uses that line before too. Like, what are we doing training up basket weavers?
Yeah.
Alex told me to stop with the basket weaving, so I'm glad you brought it up. The thing is, though, we're making our kids soft. We're telling kids that if you don't have everything your parents have today, and you have to work for it, you're underprivileged, you're discriminated against, you didn't have a privilege, you're being taken advantage of, and that's not the case. I'm 53 and I still have to work. I still have to get up every morning and go do something, and that's just part of life. Just get up and do it. But we're teaching them, if you have to put effort into it, or you get your hands dirty or whatever, somebody's got to take care of you, and that's what we're trying to change at VPA. But it starts at the consumer too. We go to all these SAC events, and I tell Ryan, my goal is there's 2 great big conglomerates out there that own a large percentage of the archery hunting industry, and they're both sourced out of China, and they both show up to every trade show we show up to. So we're trying to create a consortium of U.S. made companies now that fall under one. We're going to get this big ass tent at every one of these shows, like 60 by 60 a square. We're going to put all these small mom and pop startup entrepreneurial American companies in between these 2 conglomerates, raise the red, white, and blue as proud as we can, then hang 2 Chinese flags to the side of us and say, all right, pick. Do you want to pay in yen, or do you want to pay in dollars? And who do you want it to benefit? Xi Jinping or the people in America? Because that's where this is going to change, is when people stop by and rage and muzzy and all this shit that's built in China. Not saying it's bad product, but it's supporting the wrong group, and come back. Because what's more American than going out hunting?
Yeah.
I mean, come on,
exactly.
Guys.
It's such an amazing thing that we have, and this is what I love about talking to you guys about this topic, because a lot of companies are afraid to discuss the why behind what they do, and having these belief systems that it's like they're everybody's so worried about offending everybody, but you're exactly right. What happened to being willing to support our own economy in our own country? And even if it means we have to pay a little bit more for something, there's this, they were, I don't watch a lot of sports, but I watched the Super Bowl this last year. And one of the biggest ads on during the Super Bowl this year was this Temu company, TEMU. And they were running ads like during every break. And so what this is like a Chinese company that is trying to infiltrate and steal our market share from companies like Amazon. And what they're doing is they're selling things for really cheap in an effort to build that market share and steal that market share. And then those prices will slowly go up. But that just goes right to China, and it doesn't help our economy. It doesn't help anything that we're doing here. None of that stuff is made in America. And so I'm glad to talk to guys like you that are willing to put in the work and make the sacrifices necessary to make it work here in America, because I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was right during COVID, we were asked to make some of these barrels. And we said, sure, but we want a 5-year contract because we had to tool up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They said, no, just till we get back out of China. But that's the mentality, you're getting a new bow that by the time you get it set up, it's going to be 2,500 to $3,000, the value of it.
Yep.
You're going to go spend a couple $100 on arrows to get a nice release, couple $100 on a release. And then the thing that kills is the broadhead. And a lot of guys run to Walmart. I'm only paying $18, $20 for a broadhead. And I'm like, I get it. It's cheap. Yeah. You can only shoot it once. But that's the only thing that kills the animal. Everything else is a delivery package. The only thing that's deadly is that piece. And that's where you're going to scrimp, is on that piece. And I believe that we're right in the middle of the market too. We're not the highest and we're not the lowest, but you can get into our 3-blade
100 grains for 56 bucks. Like 100 grain up to like 200 grains, $56. If that. And it's a lifetime warranty, right? Like, come on, call me up. Tell me it failed, and I'll send you a new head. So yeah.
So you buy 3 of those, you go shoot for 2-3 years, or every time you shoot something, you have to replace your broadhead. That's your choice. American made, Chinese made.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And broadheads, you're right, man. So I know there's a lot of discussion about, mechanical versus fixed and all this kind of stuff. I've never shot a mechanical blade in my life, so I just don't have like an opinion on that. I'm a fixed blade guy, and I'm kind of a old grumpy kind of dude. Once I get set in my ways, I stick with it, and so one of the cool things with you guys too is you've got like, okay, so Indiana, Ryan, I know I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but there's some big ass whitetail running around Indiana.
Don't tell people that.
Yeah, they're small. They're like small, big dogs.
Yeah,
they're golden retrievers with horns. And no, and so you've got somebody kind of in that game, doing the whitetail. Well, I hunt whitetail here in Montana, but we hunt them differently here. And then you've got pardon me, Jeff, you're in Utah, and so you've got the Western hunting thing going on, and so can you guys talk to us about like the broadheads and how that's relevant from, whether somebody's like a hunting whitetail on the Eastern Seaboard anywhere but Indiana, versus using these broadheads on some like big, British Columbia type whitetail versus elk versus moose. I'm a big time bear hunter. I was hoping to stick one with a bear this year, but the opportunity did not come up. So talk to us about how, like this diversification, I guess, of product and what people would want to use hunting out or back east versus out west.
Yeah, sure. I can kind of tackle that one. I want to like preface this with the reason, like, we're not telling guys what to shoot, right? That's something that we're not in the game of. Like, if they call us and say, hey, this is where my setup is, this is my grain weight, this is my arrow weight, this is what I'm shooting, I'm going out west, what do you think's going to work? I'm going to be like, hey, I would probably stick in that 100 or 125 grain range. If they're hunting in the thick somewhere and they're down in South Texas and they want to make sure they're hunting hogs, and they come with me and say, hey, my arrow setup is going to be at 550. And I'm like, okay, let's work around that. Like, maybe you're going to run some FOC. Maybe you want to do that. So depending upon where you're at, you're right. It is kind of specific what guys are going to run up front. And the cool thing is that we offer a broadhead from 100 grains all the way pretty soon up to 350 grains. And that all depends on, that depends on if they're shooting over a water hole in Texas or if they're shooting a bear in Canada. It's all going to be different. So we let the guys come to us, and then I kind of say, hey, what are you comfortable shooting? That's just it. Like, what are you comfortable shooting? Where's your bottom pin at? How far do you want to reach out? And let's talk there. So you're right. For me in Indiana, I'll be like, my pin, lower pin, and booners, like that's going to be at 40 yards because that's where I'm comfortable. And that's where I want to shoot. And I know I'm going to get him in within 40, and it's going to be a nice buck, and it's going to be fun. And I'm aiming at shoulders because I know that my arrow weight's going to be heavy enough that I don't have to care. Like, I'm going to blow through. I am, right? I just know that.
Yeah.
because I know my draw length, I know my poundage, I know exactly where I'm at. I think some guys are kind of doing themselves a little bit of a disservice when they're like, I'm just going to go pick up the broadhead and I'm going to throw it on an arrow that I don't really know where I'm at, and I'm just going to go shoot. I think that's kind of like
Yeah.
doing the animal a disservice. I do.
I agree. No, I actually agree. And I have verified agreements with that where, when back when I started bow hunting, this, many years ago, you were talking about like the Walmart broadhead, and I would go out, I'd have a couple of carbon arrows in my quiver. I'd have a couple of aluminum arrows in my quiver. I didn't know what broadhead I had. I had no idea what grain of broadhead I was shooting. And, I killed some animals. In fact, I could probably tell Jeff a couple of spots, what some of my old mule deer honey holes out in that neck of the woods. And, we could bounce some ideas off each other. But there, back in those days, I didn't know that bow hunting and archery, there was such a technical aspect to it, right? It was like this guy I'd hunt with, he'd be like, hey, if arrows aren't flying, they ain't dying. And I was like, oh, okay, good idea. Yeah. We just need to start shooting at animals, and man, that's not a good policy. And it's just, that is not ethical. And again, I'm talking like late 90s kind of thing. And so, when you're talking about like, cause I've had like this transformation of trying to get more and more technical, and I've gotten really good at calling in elk and getting them, within 20, 30 yards of these screaming bulls in September. And that's kind of my passion, and some of my mishaps have been, hitting a little twig the size of a I don't know, the little lead inside those mechanical pencils, and it deflecting my my arrow right over the back or something like that, or sticking them right in the butt, or there's been a couple of times when that's happened. And I wonder how much like broadheads and size and the grain on the front of that. Let me just ask you, the ones I got from you guys, I've got 125 grain single bevel, and that's what I'm planning to hunt elk with. Am I off base with that, or would you guys do that?
I'd do it all day long. I think the two things Ryan hit on that you need to think about with ours is we design ours to go through the shoulder. That's 2/3 of your vitals are behind that shoulder. The reason everybody tells you to shoot the seam is because their broadheads won't go through the shoulder. So you're not going to get a kill. Ours will go through. More than likely, you're going to go through both, and you're going to be on the other side looking for your arrows, 9 times out of 10. So yes, it will take care of an elk. The other one is shot placement, practice. You've got to be comfortable with what you're able to shoot and what your skills are. That's as important as anything. So like Ryan said, we don't tell you what to shoot. We just know whatever setup you go with us, that broadhead's going to make that penetration all the way through. And we're talking ball joints, we're talking femurs. We shoot it through everything, test it out, that the broadhead's not going to fail on you. If something happens, that placement is what's key. I had a guy the other day say, well, I shot this elk, or I shot this sable in the liver, and it didn't leave a very good blood trail. I'm like, well, why'd you shoot him in the liver? Is that the best shot you could get? Why didn't you shoot him in the lungs? And they said, well, the mechanical would have done better. I said, wait a minute. I don't believe that. I keep hearing this thing about mechanicals do this, mechanical. It's got to open up, first of all, right? It's got to get in there and open up. And if, there's a talking head out there saying he doesn't want to pass through, he wants the broadhead bouncing around on the inside. Usually it goes through and it pins on the other side in the shoulder or rib. And what good is that? If you're plugging the hole on the one side and it doesn't go out the other side, how do they expect they're going to get a big blood trail when all that's pooling in the cavity? Yeah, it's about placement.
Exactly.
If I hit him in both lungs and a heart with a mechanical, with a fixed blade, or even with a target tip, and it goes all the way through, I'm going to get a lot better blood than if I hit him in the guts. Right. So
yeah,
I think part of that is just trying to push your narrative. Ours are meant to make a big hole like that one that you have, the Omega single bevel. So it makes a corkscrew. My kid calls it a mud flap on the backside because it comes out and it's like a 4 to 6 inch hole.
Oh, really?
On the backside. Yeah. But you got to hit them in a place that creates blood. You hit them in the hind quarter, shoot one in the butt. It's not going to bleed. I don't care what you shoot.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, definitely no argument there. I do get a lot of people whenever I talk. My show's not super gear centric. Like we don't get a lot of gear conversations. I've been saying that in the last few episodes because we've been talking about a lot of gear because I get a lot of requests to talk about gear, and people always whenever I talk about my arrow setup or broadheads or whatever, I do get a lot of people that are super passionate about one that mechanical is the only way to go. You're going to kill more animals, you'll be more accurate, they're going to go faster. That's not my experience. And again, I've never personally shot one, but I have been with people that my goal on an elk and because I've never had an issue putting down a deer with a bow. I have had issues where I have not made an appropriate shot or a rush shot or had a deflected arrow or something where I've wounded an elk. And if you hunt elk long enough, everybody's going to have that. And what I'm finding is like I want two holes. I want an entry and an exit. And that's going to give you blood on both sides. And I want to find that arrow after the elk runs off so I can see where it went in. And that makes my track job a lot easier if I've got two holes, and it usually makes that animal die much quicker. And now a couple of years ago, I did liver hit an elk, and I don't know what happened there. That it was either user error, which is me not making a great shot, or there was like maybe a slight deflection. There was a little bit of brush around there. That bull still died. But it took a while. It took a while. By the time I found him, it was a loss. And I fess up all my sins on this show when something like that happens. Because well, I'm not one of those dudes that just only shows the glory in hunting. I show the real side.
That doesn't happen, does it? You think people only tell you the good stories?
Yeah. Anyway, but the so yeah, I guess that's my goal. I want two holes. And I've never gone out with a single bevel head. And so and I was calling a bunch of buddies when we were talking about, Brandon over at Eastman's was like, hey man, which broadhead, are you thinking about? And I'm like, I've heard a lot of good things about that Omega, single bevel broadhead. And I'm curious about it, but I've never done it. And he's like, okay, well, I'm not the guy to talk to. You need to talk to so-and-so and so-and-so and so. So I talked to like 5 guys, and it was only one of them that said, "Oh, don't hunt an elk with a single bevel broadhead." And I'm not going to name names, but he told me that he would not go out with a single bevel after an elk, and I can't even remember really what the reasoning was. And so, I can you guys make me feel better about that?
I think it's all preference because that single bevel does as much, if not more damage. I think people get stuck in what they're comfortable with. And again, talking about the talking heads, there's one out there that says you got to shoot mechanicals, you got to shoot light, blah, blah, blah. You know how many, and he always ends it with, you know how many animals I've killed? Well, how old are you, Jim?
I'm 43.
How many animals have you killed over? You grew up in Utah like me.
Yeah.
Countless.
Yeah, lots. Yeah.
Lots. I don't keep track of them, but I'm going to guess, I've been hunting since I was a kid, that it's 1,000, at least 1,000, maybe more than that.
I mean, I guess it depends on how many. It just depends on how many. If you want to count all the jackrabbits I shot down near Mona, Utah,
they count. They count. Yes,
they all count, right?
Yes, sir.
But probably this guy that's saying don't shoot the single bevel hasn't had a bad experience. Maybe he's not even shot one. It's just an opinion, and that's the great thing about hunting is that you get to trial and failure, and you make up your own decisions and based around your skill, you get to decide what happens. Why do you have to listen to somebody that tells you, well, only do it this way because that's what I've done?
Yeah.
What fun's that?
No, and I couldn't agree more with that. And to add to that point, Jeff, is like people get in these what do you call that? They just get like in these zones where it's like grandpa did it this way and passed it down to dad, and now I do it this way. And because you don't do it this way, you're an asshole. And that's kind of part of the problem with the hunting community is we get so fiery at each other. I don't care. I don't care what somebody else wants to use. I just want like honest opinions. And a lot of times when I'm asking, you kind of feel like you're not getting an honest opinion sometimes because this this is the one that I like to bring up because it seems to chap the most asses. But the grizzly conversation, the grizzly, what firearm to carry in grizzly country. Have you ever noticed on social media, everybody is this expert on what round and what pistol to carry for protection in grizzly country? Yet how many of those people have actually been in a situation where they had to shoot a grizzly bear, so they actually don't know what is the best round? I just, it's like, that's kind of the answers you get. And you want to talk to a guide up in Alaska that's been charged 8 times by a grizzly bear, and he's used 3 different pistols to defend himself or whatever. That guy knows. But the 2,700 other comments on there, none of those people have even seen a grizzly bear in the wild. And for some reason, it irritates me that we get in these things that we just get hung up in, and then we fight about it because we have so much up against us between the anti-hunting movement and hostile vegans and wokeness and anti-gun folks and all this stuff that are trying to counter our lifestyle, and yet instead we fight over whether or not somebody wants to shoot a broadhead that's a mechanical versus a fixed blade. What do you guys say to that?
It's usually on social media.
Absolutely.
We meet a ton of great people, and even some that we don't agree with. And on social media, they have, balls this big, and they just want to tell you how it is. But when you meet them face to face, you can actually have that civil conversation. It's almost, you get points for being egregious and in your face on social media. So
yeah.
I think our biggest, and Ryan, you jump on this, but our biggest flag we fly that says, hey, we're doing the right things, is when people like, and not that they're better people than we are, but like Joel Turner, great man, Adam Greentree, guys we didn't even know, came to VPA and were on our pro staff. They asked to be on our pro staff because we don't pay anybody. Those are great archers, and they show up and say, hey, can I shoot your stuff? Or I've always shot your stuff. Brian Poe, I've always shot your stuff. I love it. Those are the guys that do their research. I mean, Joel Turner and Bodie, they don't just shoot our broadheads, but they shoot them a lot. Those are good people that know what works, and they're not flashy. They're not telling you what to do. Joel tells you that you hammer the trigger too much.
Trigger.
Yeah.
That's what he tells me anyway.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'd be nervous shooting in front of Turner, man. He the way he gets right up in your face and watches your finger right as you release it. I know he'd bust me, man. I need to get him back on the show. I haven't had him back on the show since he went on Rogan's show, and now I think it's time for another School of September with Joel Turner, man. Everybody likes Joel.
He's a great guy. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I guess what now, Ryan? Were you gonna jump in there?
Well, I think there's something to be said about like the whole side of like, even like, I think Jeff will agree to this side. Like there's one good like mechanical broadhead out there, and it's probably the Grim Reaper. And we'll post that. Like, they're made in Utah. We'll talk about those guys. They're great, man. They know.
Jay's a great guy.
Jay's a great man. So like, if you're shooting a mechanical, check out Grim Reaper. And I know it's hard for a solid one-piece guy to say that, but like, right. But like, I want people to be informed about what they're shooting and know what they're shooting and where it's coming from and who's making it. And Jay's a great man. So he's got a great product. The other thing, as far as like, versus like the damage, like the one thing I have noticed from guys is like when they're talking 3-blade versus single bevel, just that, like the damage on a single bevel, they watch animals fall, right? Like 30, 40, 50 yards. Like, man, I shot my buck last year with a single bevel, and he fell within like 30 yards. And I like,
wow.
This isn't from me. This is from, so I killed a 4-inch sapling last year. That was awesome. Like, blew through it. Like, broadhead was fine. Like, it was a nice looking buck, but I still just didn't see the sapling. So,
and a building.
And
been there, done that.
So
sorry, guys, my headset just died for some reason.
I can hear you. You're fine.
All right.
I was just that side of like people watch things fall with a single bevel, and that's really cool. Like, that's a lot of like us like testing and hearing it from guys. Like, I was so amazed with the damage. Like Jeff said, 4-inch mud flat, like that's creating a lot of damage as it corkscrews through the cavity of what you're shooting. That's all I have to say.
Okay, go shoot it through your target. I'm shooting those Omegas with bleeders through this block target, and I actually had to stack 2 of them back to back So I was getting passed through a block target.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know, because I would love to actually hit an elk and have it die in front of me. I'm sick of
I'm not saying it's going to happen, Jim.
No,
I'm just saying,
I know.
like,
The rest is on me, but I want the possibility. If I do my job, that could happen. But like the namesake of this studio that I'm recording in here, the Broken Tine Studio, that comes from a bull. Gosh, I don't remember what year that was, 2018-ish or something. Comes in front of me, it gives me this great shot. I release the arrow, hit him good. The dirty bastard runs through this brush and off a cliff and rolls down into the bottom of this drainage and knocks half his antlers off. So I scoured that hillside. I was gonna somehow attach the horn back together. And I never could find the pieces. But that's where the name Broken Tines Studio comes from. And it's because that's always kind of the story with me is I've never had an elk just die in front of me where I see it. It's always like a track job and everything else. And a lot of that is because of me and I seem to, actually, you guys would be a great guys to ask about this, because I feel like you just, you're in this industry, so you've got to have a lot of expertise on it. So I am left eye dominant. I've always shot right-eyed. I've never missed. Well, I can't say I've never missed with a rifle, but because I have. But I don't. I have a lot of confidence behind a rifle. With my bow, I've never had that. That just comfortable level of confidence that you get behind whether it's a bow or a rifle or whatever. Fly rod. I have this comfortable confidence with a fly rod. Those kind of things. I've always had this lack of confidence with my bow, and so I am switching to go. I'm going to try this left-handed bow and try using my left eye. What do you guys? What's your opinion on that? Do you think that's crazy, Ryan? I saw your face.
Man, I think that is. I mean, you've been doing it the same way for the last 43 years.
I know. Well, I haven't been bow hunting for 43 years. I've only been bow hunting for a little.
What I'm saying is for 20 or whatever. I'm still I'm just thinking about, like, that's going to be so different for you.
Yeah, I know, right?
About that.
I know. I've been thinking about it for a long time though, and I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with it, man. But I kind of want to try it, because I feel like something needs to change, because I will shoot hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of arrows through the year, and I still can't get the confidence that I have with like a rifle. And I think that it messes with my mind when I have a screaming bull in front of me, like that lack of, like, for example, with a rifle, if I'm rifle hunting and I get a bear come out, and it's within my comfort range of 500 yards or so or better, that bear's dead. I'm gonna get him, and it's like, so everything after that point, when I bring that rifle up, everything after that is like the second nature process. Where with my bow, I get this thing, like it's like this mind gymnastics going on, like, man, you're gonna screw this up, you better not screw it up, Jim, you're gonna screw this up, that elk's you're gonna hit him right in the ass or something, and all this is going through my head as I'm pulling back, and I'm like desperate to find out or try something new to build that confidence back up.
You got to go to Turner's thing.
I know, that's what I was gonna say that too.
By the time you're drawn back, you should just be thinking, here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Yep.
Pull, sneaks up on you. It's a different mindset. Just whatever you do, go practice, right? I like the idea that you're going to try something new, but don't do it the opening morning. Don't pull out that
Oh, yeah,
bow.
No, it won't be opening
guys
morning.
Do that. I'll talk to people and say, they'll call us in a panic. Hey, can you ship us some broadheads? We're leaving Fridays. Well, what have you been shooting? Oh, I haven't even got my bow out yet. I'm like, you're kidding me. Well, you at least know the animal. Yeah.
You know what pisses me off too is sometimes dudes like that get lucky and kill a bull, and like they think that they're just this great, bowman or something, and guys like me that stand out there in the July heat, sweating my ass off, shooting arrow after arrow. I just like the confidence, man. It messes with my mind. So I don't know. I'm going to try it.
For you to try that, man.
Yeah, I'm going to try it.
Follow up on this just to see what it's like for you.
Well, and
Yeah.
I have my other bow, so I'll be equipped. I'll be equipped. I'll be shooting both of them all summer. I'll be shooting the left-handed bow and the right-handed bow, and I'm going to shoot them like on the same day. So I wanna see if I can get like this second nature, the thing built up where it's just automatic. I draw back. Yeah, there's a like Joel Turner's process, and here we go. I think is what he said. He gave me a different line to use on the podcast. Maybe it was "Here we go" or "Here I go." Anyway, and so I did his online training, but I've never done his in person. I imagine the in person one's a lot better.
He's just a great guy.
Yeah,
He's up at Montana, and people come up to the booth, and he'd sit there and shake their hand and teach them how to run their thumb. And I mean, it's just he has unlimited time to help people get better. He's just a great man. He's raising a great son too, Bodie.
yeah,
I met Bodie first time face to face, and just spit an image of his dad as far as his attitude and the way he looks at life.
yeah. Yep. He served 20 some odd years as a policeman, and yeah, he's a great American, man. I really like Joel. And so do you guys want to what else? I'm going to pull the website back. I've got some technical difficulties. My second screen for some reason shut down.
Yeah,
Tell me
a
little.
talk about our new release coming out this year, Jim.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a minute.
So it's the Omega. This is the 150 Omega.
Oh wow!
With the bleeder.
Holy cow! Yeah, that thing is. So for you guys listening on audio only, that he's showing me, is that a?
It's still Omega.
I see. Yep, it's still the Omega. So it's got the two little bleeders.
Yeah, it's got the two little bleeders. Not little. That's 3/4 inch diameter here, and that bleeder itself is 0.92 thick. So if you're thinking about any other bleeder on the market, they're like 20,000s. And I know I'm getting a little technical here, but 20,000s on a bleeder. This one is actually almost 4 times as thick. So we're super excited for it. So I'm going to take the bleeder out right now. That way you guys can see it's going to pop up.
A lot of our competitors on their package say the bleeder will shear to go through bone. And we look at each other like, what the hell good is that? We want ours to go through it. Not shear off.
So 150 grain even.
Yes. And sorry, Jim, that's as light as we can make this broadhead and still keep it like warrantyable, right? Because we want to warranty these for the lifetime, right?
Well, I'm in love with that idea. I kind of like a heavy broadhead. I would have no qualms taking 150 grain arrow out. Or
maybe broadhead. You'll see some delivered to your place in a couple weeks.
Hey, we might. I'd try that. You know what? I have there's this dude that lives not very far from me. I'm not sure if he'd want me to say his ranch name, but anyway, they do this every year. They raise buffalo, right? And so they sell bison meat, and it's a really cool operation. He's given me this opportunity maybe to go shoot this 2-year-old cow bison, and he's like, well, I don't let anybody hunt the bison with a bow. You have to bring a rifle, but I've been grinding him. And he kind of gave me the opening that maybe he would make an exception to shoot a bison with a bow, and I think that would be the broadhead to do it with. What do you think?
Let's do it.
I mean, these are not wild buffalo. It's not like they're like I could basically walk up to it, and so this isn't like some backcountry bison hunt on the outskirts of Yellowstone or something. I could probably get within 20 yards without it spooking.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be a cool hunt. I guess it's not really a hunt. It's a walk-in stop.
Yeah, it's basically a walk in and kill your freezer full of meat. But the thing is it's really good meat. It's really healthy. That bison meat is incredible. Like we buy it all the time from them, just because it's pretty close to us, and these bison are not all hawked up on chemicals and hormones and everything else. They're free range, and the meat is just incredible. You just feel powerful after you have bison meat. So if I get one, I'll send you guys.
Right there?
What's that?
Do they butcher them right there?
They no, there's a place about a mile and a half from them down the road that actually does butchering, and so yeah.
Be neat. Let's bring some of those out and do a test. You shoot them. We go with you to the butcher and take some footage of what kind of damage the Omega with bleeders done.
Okay. Yeah, you got a deal. We'd do that for sure. That'd be fun. It'd be a fun little science project.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and we'll do that, and then come back to my place and barbecue some bison steaks.
There you
go. There we go.
Not a bad place to be. So, is that broadhead? Is that available now, Ryan?
We are getting them back from heat treat this week. They'll go to black oxide later this week. They'll get sharpened next week. I'm hoping they're ready. We're going to do pre-sales starting this week. That way, guys can start ordering them. But I'm looking for them to ship in probably 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
So we're going to do it. So I forgot to mention this, but when you take it off and take out that bleeder, right now it's a 150 grain head. And the cool thing about it, when you take out that bleeder, because of the ferrule and the way it's designed, you remove the bleeder, it's actually a 125 grain head then.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And the 200 grain, a little bit longer, becomes a 175 grain head.
No kidding. So those, gotcha. So the bleeders are adding about 25 grains.
Yeah, the bleeder and the lock ring on back.
What do you have? What do you think? What do you think about? Is that too much for certain game? Do you think?
I don't think so. You think about it. We've talked to a lot of people that, they'll say I only shoot 100s, but then they tell you they put 50 or 100 or 150 grain insert.
Yeah,
and we kind of look at them and say, why wouldn't you just shoot? I know why they don't do it is you used to only be able to get 75, 100, maybe 125 grain broadheads. But we go to 350. If you're going to be heavy, put it on the deadly end. Don't put a big insert. That's just carrying weight. It's not doing anything to kill that animal. Put a bigger broadhead on there.
So when I'm out there and I run into a forest grouse, it's okay.
Oh, it's smoking.
No, I'm kidding. No,
I'd use a thumper on that, but you could use it if you wanted to. Yeah,
I know. I always kick around the idea of throwing a thumper in the quiver there just for the grouse, but I just I don't know. I don't get that excited about them, so I just usually let them walk. That hasn't been the case for a few of them, but most of the time I just let them walk. I don't want to interrupt the elk hunt because they're not that good. I don't know. So, and so you've got that coming out, and is there? Let me pull the web because I had a bunch of questions lined up here, but I know I'm keeping you here. Oh, you've got the small game thumpers right here.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Heck yeah! And so I wanted to ask you about this test pack. Not a lot of, maybe they do, and I'm just not paying attention. But I've never seen where you could pick 3 different broadheads as a test pack. And it's really reasonably priced too. And what's kind of the theory behind that? And is that because that's available now on that, which by the way, guys, for you listening, it is vparchery.com. It's going to be in the show notes, but it's always in the show notes. So check that out. But tell us about that test pack.
So it was an idea of one of our guys having the shop. His name's Kellen. He's like, you know what? We should start doing a test pack. And I'm like, tell me why. And he's like, well, it gives the guys ideas if they want to shoot a single bevel, if they want to shoot something vented, if they just want to shoot a solid head. Just gives them that opportunity to kind of test them all out and see what flies best for them. And also you can choose them in different grain weights if you want, right? Like say, I mean, you can get field point test kits for that because we do that from like 100 grain up to 300 grain. But also like if you just want to test and see how the broadhead flies.
Yeah. I think that's important.
Let's face it. Like if you're shooting a solid one piece head, you got to do the work. Like I tell that guys, is it going to fly like a field point? Like if your bow's really well tuned, like it's going to fly like your field point. But if you don't have a very well tuned bow, you've got to do some work, some adjustments. So yeah, that way it gives the guys the opportunity to test them out before they actually go ahead and purchase a pack.
I want to give everybody like the rundown here. So you've got single bevel heads, 2 blade heads, 3 blade heads, turkey spurs, and small game thumpers. Am I missing anything there?
Yeah, vented and non-vented. Yep.
Vented, non-vented. I got distracted. I'm checking out these turkey spurs.
Then we got all the accessories. We got the stones. We got the strops. We got arrows. We've got everything you need to fill that quiver up with some deadly stuff.
I'm gonna buy a pack of these turkey spurs. Those are pretty sweet. Have you guys? I am a complete failure at getting a turkey with my bow. Do you guys get them?
Oh yeah, shot one with a 300 grain, 1.5 inch. Not last year, the year before. Sounded like a truck hit it.
So that's curious too, Jeff. Like, so growing up in Utah, we didn't really have turkeys. The turkey population is doing pretty well now, huh?
Oh, it's powerful. They said, I haven't actually hunted them out here, but everybody used to, when we put them out, it was in the 90s and you couldn't even hardly draw. Now I heard it's still a draw, but it's not as hard to get a tag.
Oh, it's not? Okay. Yeah. Cause, my dad's place down there in Sanpete County, they're pissing him off. They're like, man, they're coming all over the place. They're making a huge mess. I can't remember what he said. They were chasing off the rabbits or something. But anyway, it was just surprising to hear him talk about that because I don't think in all my years growing up I ever saw a turkey down there.
Let's go. Well, you did in Manton.
What's that?
You saw the white ones in Manton.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's those ones all over the big turkey stinky factories out of Ephraim, Manti, that whole valley over there. Yeah. So, I actually, that was interesting story. They were a roofing customer years ago when I first got into roofing, one of those facilities, and the whole process of taking the turkey from being a turkey to a packaged turkey to go to the grocery store is pretty freaking brutal. And it's like they would squirt all this blood up on the roof and it was destroying the roof. Right. But that's how they would, as these machines would go through and do the butchering and stuff, these parts would come up on the roof. So I'm getting up there. They're like, yeah, it's always leaking over here. So I go by this vent thing. I'm looking at it and there's just like turkey guts and blood all over this built up roof. And I'm looking at it and like all these other birds, hawks are coming in and taking chunks. And every time they land and stick their beak on the roof, they're ruining the roof even further. I'm like, you guys got to stop doing this. Find somewhere else to blow this stuff. So
who do you buy your supplies from the roofing company?
Well, it depends on the type of roof I'm doing.
Have you heard of Cameron Ashley? Ryan, the company that Ryan and his family owned, sold to Cameron Ashley. Cameron Ashley is a big roofing supply company.
Are they up here in Montana, North Idaho?
I know they got one in the Dakotas. I don't know. Well, yeah, the one Steve, the guy that runs that division, is from Montana somewhere.
Okay, yeah, I just wrote that down. I'll check it out. Yeah, because I'm always looking for. I want to find products that are super unique to be able to offer, especially to some of these commercial customers. Metal roofing especially. But anyway, yeah, I'll check that out for sure.
We'll be going through Sanpete. We're going to go up Fairview Canyon fishing on the Bulger tomorrow.
Are you?
Yeah, we'll go right through Manton.
Oh yeah. That's yeah. I don't like to talk about areas much on the podcast for hunting spots, but yeah, I've got some honey holes down there for great big mule deer that back in the day nobody'd go to. And when I say back in the day, I think I hunted there last in 2012. As soon as I got out of the Marines, I moved to North Idaho, which was 2003. And then I took a job with a roofing manufacturer down in Utah, roughly 2009-ish when my daughter was born. And we stayed until about 2012 and then came back up here. And now we're in Montana. So, anyway, that's the story. But yeah, there was some nice areas, man. And
we'll have shared notes after this.
It will have to, because Utah is one of those places like it is. Like there are a lot of people that knows some good areas and they're all there on opening morning, but these kind of forgotten trails, they're out there, they exist. And so that we had to get creative, but I found a few. Yeah. So anyways, well, cool guys. I appreciate your support of this show and Eastman's Hunting Journals. And I really appreciate your philosophy about manufacturing here in America and keeping jobs here and keeping, just the pride of American manufacturing and making products. I love, because you hear a lot, well, it's not possible anymore to manufacture. You have to go overseas. You hear that a lot. And I like when you guys, when people like you come out and buck that trend and that philosophy that you can't do it here. And I appreciate that, you've committed to that and are going to stick with it. And it's really cool. I think that topic alone, I already know that you make fantastic broadheads. And I'm super excited to go into this season with them. But just the fact alone, even if they were subpar broadheads, I would hope that people would make the decision to buy some VP or Vantage Point Archery, some broadheads through you guys, because it's a lost thing in America. So any closing thoughts?
No, I think that highlights what keeps us motivated, and then just part of the industry. I don't know if you've been to these TAC events, Total Archery Challenge stuff. He's a Mona guy, Sean the Gray, that runs that. Just go look at the families. I mean, you see grandparents, sons, daughters, grandkids. It's just a good American sport, good Christian values. And, at the end of the day, we've got to give thanks to God for everything we've got, the ability to do what we do. And me and Ryan and our team are super blessed. We have 30 families that work at our facility, and that's what keeps us going. Is, are we doing the right things for those 30 families? Are we giving them a good paycheck at the end of the day, a good career? Do they have things to look forward in life? And just give forward, give back, however you call that. Just make sure you're doing the right things. And if chasing the dollar is the only thing that motivates you, then go to China.
Yeah. Ryan, you want to back that up?
Yeah, I guess the only thing I was like, if you guys are looking for us, you can check us out at VantagePointArchery.com. Also, we're on Instagram and Facebook and all the social medias. Just look at Vantage Point Archery. Jeff said it well. We're all about families, and we're all about integrity in what we build, and making sure that we're building a product that's going to last.
Yeah,
we didn't talk all about that. We are the only ones that are 100% lifetime warranty. If you shoot into a brick wall or something, A5 still keep them. We're not going to fix them, but if you get a pass through and it dents, dings, rolls, which it won't, but if it does, call us. We're going to send it back to you. That's how confident we are. Go ask that of some of these mechanicals or some of these Chinese made stuff. They designed it. One of those big companies told us, you guys need to redesign your stuff. It's too good. You need to make it fail so you can sell more. And I can't look you in the eye and know that that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, that's a lost art in itself right there. So that really is a solid warranty, guys. For those of you listening, the lifetime warranty on a broadhead is not something that you see. I don't think ever. You guys probably are the only ones that do that, huh?
I think so. And I can also tell you, 6 guys, I say that 6 guys took me up on that last year.
Really?
6 guys. And I make them send me a picture of the kill and the broadhead. And I'm like, yeah, send you a broadhead. And normally I send them another pack, because you know what? I just don't like when things fail. So yeah. Now, if you shoot a grouse, I had one guy shoot a grouse on a rock pile. I sent him a broadhead, but come on, dude.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, it's just kind of unreasonable if I'm thinking of this mule deer I killed a few years back, where it was in scree rock. That would jack the broadhead up. I wouldn't expect a company to replace it, but it was worth it because the deer's dead. So there's got to be this fine line. So I mean, for anybody listening, these guys have a lot of ethics and values, and make sure you have ethics and values as well. And if you kill something in a rock pile, just buy a new broadhead. I mean, shoot, you made the choice to shoot it right there. So, no, I appreciate it, guys. This is a good discussion. I learned a lot, and love to have you back on anytime. And in fact, we need to just stay in touch, because I'm no pun intended, deadly serious about that bison hunt. I want to feel
excited already.
We'll be there. Something out. That would be a ball. So. I was going to do it as this joke thing, because I make fun of a lot of the so-called influencers out there a lot. And I was going to make it look like I was going on this big backpacking backcountry, badass hunt. And I, set up a tent right in front of their lodge, but I'd be staying actually in the lodge, but make it look, but I like the idea of testing out the broadhead on the bison better. So the owner gave me, he opened the door. I say we do it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Tie the bison to a tree and then shoot it from 5 yards. Say it was at a full sprint at 150. Yeah.
My cousin Andrew, he says he's like, yeah, man, you can go out there and break out the jet boil, but just pull out like Taco Bell bags right there, right alongside it or something. I thought that was pretty funny. So
that's great.
Well, guys, for those of you listening, again, vparchery.com is the website. I would highly recommend you guys check it out if you are in the market, and who isn't this time of year. Bow season is going to be here before we know it. It is, I know, like in Utah where Jeff's at there, they have this funky archery. I don't know what they still do, Jeff, but it opens in like mid-August, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. Mid-August. And
yeah,
especially if we're doing some high country. We're doing the top of the beaver this year, to get him up on that shell rock. You got to be out there into August, 1st of September for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, that hunt I think is the soonest one opening up. For the rest of us, we're only like 2 months away. And so we need to make sure you're getting dialed. You're not one of those guys calling Ryan over there and saying, hey, I'm leaving Friday for a hunt. I haven't even dusted off the bow yet. Make sure we're getting the work done that needs to be done so you can be as lethal as you could be in the field. And I highly recommend you guys check out these broadheads. I think they're going to be a game changer for me. I know. Super happy with them so far. So guys, thanks again for joining me, and let's do this again.
Thank you, Jim.
You made it. That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you're following us on Instagram at The Western Huntsman, and write us a good review at Apple Podcasts. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Stay Western, and I'll see you on